G'day. Well, it's been 12 months on the road. In this video, I want to give you a couple of ideas on rookie mistakes, things that's probably a good idea to buy before you get it, things you should be buying on the road, what things you should be buying, and also, if money were no object, would that make a difference? Let's go and check it out. Some rookie errors. I don't think this video is going to be long enough for me to tell you all the things that you could muck up or things that could go wrong. No, to be fair, you will make some little mistakes if you're on a long trip, and hopefully those little mistakes you'll get used to and you'll realise and you'll sort them all out and everything will be fine. But some of them that you might want to watch out for is putting up and down the awning, and even whether to leave it out. So with the pop top, I've found that it doesn't take much of a breeze, and what happens with the pop top, because your top is popped, the awning is actually secured to the very top part. So if you take everything to extreme, there's the side of your wall. If the wind ever got so severe or was gusting, it could, I'm pretty sure, bend some of the infrastructure on the pop top. So I don't tend to, just the slightest breeze, I tend to pull it in. And especially if when I'm going to sleep at night, if I think there's slightly gusting, I just can't sleep if that wind is pulling the awning, is just tugging, so and the van will shake, and I'm just not able to sleep with that, so I tend to pull it in at night. I would never go away unless it was so dead flat. I would never leave the van and leave the awning up. There's way too many horror stories about having the awning up and having damage done to it. The other thing is, you might want to watch that video I did on how to put up an awning, how to take it down, because one of the errors I made was when I was putting it up, I put it up in the wrong order, and then suddenly one of the legs was cocked up like that, and I had to climb up on the roof of the car to loosen it down and get it down, so you can muck it up. So just be careful and practice a few times with your awning before you get out on the road, because when you do want to pop it up, you want to pop it up because it is pretty hot, like today. Another great purchase I made was a Yamaha 1kV generator. Now, there's a couple of reasons I got it, because at that stage I didn't sort of know what I was doing, as if I do now. But when I was just going out camping without caravans and just the tent, there'd be times when you just did need power, and the Yamaha I've got, the 1kV, is an inverter, so it gives you the 240 volts, and it's so cheap to run. Seriously, it'll run between 8 to 10 hours, non-stop, just put, 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 put. Even when you put it under load, it still gets a lot of hours out of it. The other thing, it's quiet as a mouse, which is great, and it's light. If you wanted to, not for any particular reason, but if it's a bit hard to start, mine's fine, it starts every time. But if you've got a generator that doesn't start sometimes, not a bad idea to start it without your plug being plugged in. So with mine, you just turn it to the on position, pull out the choke, put your foot against it so it doesn't fall over, and start pull. One start, one pull, one full. Now I'm at the stage, I think, having travelled, and if you want to go into things like air conditioning for your caravan and all those sorts of things, and microwaves and all that, 1kV will definitely not cut it. The one that I'm quite keen is the Honda 2.2. Otherwise, if you're not doing that particular brand or that particular sort of kV, you might have to go up into a 3 to get that air conditioner tuning. So yeah, definitely the Yamaha 1kV, a dream. Here's a major A major tip for getting through the day. You've got to enjoy this, seriously. Whew. As you probably already guessed, when I finished with these wine bottles, I filled them up with water, filtered water, pop them in the fridge. They get cold and keep nice and cold. And again, you don't have to throw away the little plastic bottles everywhere. There's a pretty good chance you've got your water for free. So your water is for free here. Pop them in the fridge, you can have 2 or 3 on the go, and they get really nice and cold. It's worth a look. Here's a random tip for you. Sometimes when you're wanting to go into a caravan site, they're insistent on you being totally self-contained. That means your own toilet, your own shower and your own grey water tank. I'm not trying to cause any ripples here, but one alternative to, you definitely can have a toilet. Whether you've got a shower or not and you're staying in overnight seems a bit absurd, but anyway, that's their rules. The thing you can do is buy this from Bunnings. It's a 15 litre tank. You can put, what I do is I pop it underneath my, where it drains out on the grey water, and it sits just nice and snugly in there. I'll pop the lid on there, and when it fills up, I will take it, dispose of it elsewhere, just as what they wanted. So that's worth doing. The other thing is, if you've got this and you think, oh well, I don't really need to do that, they're really handy to have a 15 litre container like this, fill it up with water at your last campsite where you're not paying for water anyway, put it through a filter, and then you've got some nice fresh water that you don't have to get the disposable throwaway bottles everywhere. And it is BPA clean, so good value. Now you're probably listening to some of these and thinking, well, this guy's trying to flog all these things. First of all, I don't get reimbursed for any of this. This is me going out buying stuff, and I really have to mention the brand because without it, I just say, get yourself a pop-up tent. They're great. Needs more. So without further ado, let me tell you about the Oz Tent RV series. That is the 30-second tent, and it's just a matter of taking it off the roof or taking it out of wherever it's stored, taking it out of its big bag that they supply when you purchase it, lay it down. Now when you're laying it down, it's got 3 sections to it, the base and 2 arms. When you're lifting them out, you lift that one out like that, the other one out like that, you climb inside, grab the tag and pull it. There you go, 30-second tent. Looks okay. Okay, start the timer. Point the arrow toward where you want the door to open. Lift one across. The other across, step inside, pull the latch, we're up. That's it. You gotta love these. Batteries. Should you go AGM or should you go lithium? Well, it kind of depends. If you've got AGM and you've got enough power, that's amp hours, running your various bits and bobs, then I probably wouldn't bother. If it's long term, yeah, I'd probably think about going up to lithium, or if your battery's getting a little bit old in the tooth or it's starting to play up a little bit, I'd probably just dump them all. Now here is the catch. I didn't know that you couldn't just go out and get a lithium battery, stick it in and off we go, because it's not quite like that. Sometimes your DC to DC charger won't cope with it properly. Sometimes your battery charger won't cope with it properly. And the other thing is, you might, like in my case, I got a 120 amp hour thinking, oh, that'll be bound to be enough for my caravan. As it turns out, it wasn't. So I'd already bought one particular brand, and I thought, oh, well, I'll go and get another 120. It doesn't matter, I don't have to match the brands. Well, actually you do. And I thought, oh, well, one's a little bit older than the other one. Shouldn't make any difference. In fact, it does. So if you think you're going to go out and get lithium, and you're better off to get more than less. So in my case, I got 2 lots of 120. I think I should have got 1 lot of 200, and or 2 lots of 120. But apparently, this is weird, but they're supposed to buy them both at the same time, both the same brand, and both the same amp hours. And if you don't, you've got all sorts of hiccups and things can go wrong. Sounds weird, but that's the case. So just watch out for that little thing. But yeah, try and get more than you need. Then think, oh well, 100 amp hours probably going to do it. 120 might do it. Just go, go the hog and just say, if I'm going to do it, do it. So now I've got 2 lots of 120, and that's just great. Another one, an investment, probably, I can imagine, out of most people's budget, but it's a consideration. That is the Cell-Fi amplifier that you can put into your car or into your van or into both. Now the advantage of that, it basically means that if you've got a little trickle of a signal on your phone, it'll boost it up so that then you can definitely make phone calls and definitely send texts. As for the rest of it, look, what it's more likely to do if you're on just the faintest, it might give you 3G and you won't be able to post videos, but you might be able to send the occasional photo and so on and so forth. But yeah, definitely a great investment. And some people drive with the aerial up and the boost all the time. I don't. When I've stopped and I think, wow, I really need to put up a video or to send out a photo or to have a bit more reception, then I'll put up the aerial, plug it all in, and it's a pretty good unit. Spectacles. I know this looks a bit crazy. I would heavily recommend, before you head off, if you lose one, always have it topped up. Always have 2 pairs of sunglasses. Doesn't matter, well, yeah, you can have all the most expensive, but at least have a spare basic one, because the really expensive one you might lose if you want to replace that one and good. But always have 2 pairs of sunglasses. And I know I should have gone to Specsavers. I did, and I lost my spectacles. So in an emergency, I went into the one of those dollar shops and got some spectacles, had a bit of a test. I know it's not good for your eyes, but it's certainly a lot better for your eyes than not being able to see at all. The other thing is, the other day I went in and I got a spare set of spectacles, which were just marginally stronger. Now the reason I did this was because sometimes in the evening or sometimes first in the morning, I put my spectacles on and try to go read something, and I just still can't read it because my eyes are still fuzzy. So one that's sort of just a tad stronger might get you through. So I'd get one a little bit stronger, 2 your basics on your spectacles if you need spectacles, and definitely 2 sunglasses, because you don't want to be driving 600 kilometres on a sunny day out in the middle of the desert going, doing all that. There's some great things I bought from the van, and one of my favourites all time, but I've had it before the van, was an Engel fridge. As far as I'm concerned, they are as good as it gets. I know there's other people say different brands, so on and so forth. I've also met people on the road who have bought what I would call an Engel copy, and they've had ongoing problems. And as a matter of fact, quite some time ago, I ended up buying one from one of the cheaper, always got the specials on. I won't name the brand, but I love their stuff generally. And I tried it in the car. As soon as the battery got low on the car, I'd get errors all over the fridge just stopped working. And then when I tried to reboot it, I'd get more errors, and eventually I ended up taking it back, got my money back, and reverted to and taking the big launch. Look, it is a fair amount of money, but I would say that if you're going to do camping or off-roading or any of that sort of stuff and you want stuff to be cool, I would say without a doubt Engel is the way to go, and you'll have it for life. You'll have it for ages. A friend of mine's got it, I think he's had it something like at least 15, 20 years. It does look a bit ugly, but it's still working like a trooper. So Engel fridge, definitely worth buying. And running out of gas. There's nothing worse. Okay, you got your 2 cylinders on the back. When one runs out, fill it up ASAP, because you don't want to be out in the middle of the sticks and oh, I got no gas. Look, it's not life or death, but it is pretty frustrating when you go to cook a meal, or you go to have a cup of tea, or if you have the luxury of hot water, go to have do your dishes or have a nice hot shower. All of those are gone if you forgot to fill up the gas cylinder. And the other thing is, make certain when you're filling it up, fill it up in the big towns. The big towns like places like BCF, Bunnings, they're all around about $29 for a fill, for a swap, for a big 9 kilogram. You get out in the country, I've seen them upwards of $60 for a 9 kilo. So yeah, you can still buy them, and if money were no object, so that's fine, I don't care. But because you're trying to run on a budget, yeah, get your gas cylinders filled up in the big towns. The other thing is, when you're out in the sticks, doesn't matter how much money you got, sometimes you can't even get it. And yet another rookie area, there's an error, and yet another rookie error, and this, unfortunately, I have to confess, I still do from time to time, is before you break camp and head off in the caravan or your camper trailer, I forget to turn off the gas. Now, from reality, it doesn't tend to matter that much, or it hasn't mattered that much for me, but I have read, allegedly, you can have all sorts of catastrophes, and I'm talking fires, things blowing up. So if you can, maybe if you're going to write out a little list and put it different places, maybe even put it on the gas cylinder, before you head off, make certain you turn off the gas. Here's the challenge, possibly won't affect you unless you're shooting video. You've done about 15 takes of just the one scene, you're trying to get it right, and finally you know that this is the right shot. Everything is right about it, and suddenly, ring, 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 or you'll hear, bling, you've got a text message, or boop, 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 boop. Facebook comments come in. That can be frustrating. There you have it. After 12 months on the road, there are some of the things that I've learned, some rookie mistakes, some things definitely worth buying, and buying them at the beginning. Oh, just a little bonus. If you're going to start touring and you think you'll be going to WA, this sounds bizarre, but buy the RAC WA membership. I think it's about $29. And then there's fuel stations in Queensland, there's definitely in WA. I think the fuel stations are Puma. They'll give you 4 cents off a litre, and they're already pretty cheap anyway. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. And if you think it's worth sharing, please share it to a friend. And until then, this is Four Wheel Drive signing off.